This painting is called Heron in the Hangar, and here's the story behind it. I was an Army helicopter pilot, and here's me flying in the Middle East during the war in Iraq. Yep, that's me. And how do I know? Well, we had cracked the centre window of the cockpit the day before, so it had been replaced, and that's why there's no paint on the outside edge. This particular mission was merely a training mission, as well as an opportunity for some air-to-air footage. We also got a chance to shoot off some flares, nothing really exciting. The Chinook is a great aircraft to fly, and definitely one of my favourite aircraft that I've flown. I've been fortunate in my Army career to fly the Black Hawk, as well as my beloved Chinook. But a few years ago I deployed to Afghanistan with the Royal Australian Air Force and flew these unmanned aerial vehicles, drones. Here it is, it's called the Heron. I was part of the Air Force detachment. I'm holding the Australian flag, as an AVO, an air vehicle operator, along with 5 other pilots from Air Force and Navy. Our missions were 16 hours long most days, and we'd operate the aircraft from the ground control station, just as this AVO was doing. We would program the missions and fly them in support of ground forces. The Heron, like most drones, does not like high winds, wet conditions or icing, so we'd watch the flight through a camera mounted on the tail or through the gimbal camera under the nose. The aircraft were kept in these large canvas hangars on the airfield, bathed in its weird green light. Any pilot will tell you that a hangar after dark can be a very lonely place as you walk amongst the aircraft sitting silently. Our days would begin around 2 AM and we'd come to the hangar, sign for the aircraft and do the pre-flight checks just as you would any other aircraft. After our start checks, we then taxi to the runway, in the dark, get our airways clearance and wait for our turn in the list of departing aircraft so we could begin the launch sequence, usually still before dawn. We would then take off and fly to our area of operations, which could be quite far away, and for the next 16 hours we'd fly around looking for the bad guys and watching the backs of the good guys. You have to have good situational awareness of not only the weather conditions, but also of the terrain and the tactical situation. In particular, you needed a good understanding of the airspace and who else was using it. The sky over Afghanistan was busy. There were other drones, and of course there were lots of helicopters such as this US Army Apache. But some of the big users of airspace that we had to watch out for were the air-to-air refuelers. Here's an A-10 Warthog about to take on some fuel from a tanker. I have to take my hat off to anyone doing air-to-air refueling. It's a delicate operation, so if they needed the airspace at our altitude, they definitely had the priority, and we had no problem in getting out of their way so they could do their job. What a cool aircraft. Anyway, at the end of our mission, we'd return to our home base. If we're lucky, it'd be before nightfall, but usually it was well after. At that time of the night it was relatively quiet, but we'd get the odd rocket attack that would close the airfield for a while, so sometimes it could be a long process. During my tour, we were visited by this man. Here's a portrait I did of him. It's Air Marshal Jeff Brown, the Chief of Air Force. He was aware that I had been appointed official war artist for the Army during the previous tour of Iraq, so he made me the official RAAF war artist for Afghanistan. Here's some of the work I did for that project. This is a watercolour called Returning to Australia, Waiting for the Herc. And this one's called C-130 in the Taran Cot. It's done in pastel. Of course I had to do some images of the Heron, so here's a profile image I did of the aircraft. This type of image is very popular with people in aviation. And here's a sketch I did of a Heron passing a significant mountain just to the north of Kandahar. What I wanted to do though was a picture of the aircraft sitting in the hangar waiting for its mission. I like futurist paintings like this by British war artist Nevinson. Here he's depicting French troops with dark black outlines and bright blocks of colour. So I decided to do a picture of the Heron waiting for its mission, bathed in the weird green glow from multiple lights that cast multiple shadows. Here's the image I created of the Heron with an open hangar door in the middle of the night. The first step was to start blocking in the colours of the hangar. I really emphasised the green. Next was to paint the aircraft in air superiority grey, colour that makes it hard to see. In the distance you can see the lights of Kandahar airfield with the silhouette of the Chinook and its rotor blades just visible. The final image shows the detail. All the colours are blocked in. The walls are green and the multiple shadows can be seen on the ground. Just a few splashes of red on the warnings painted on the tail boom and the prop, and a few highlights to give it that sense of shape. I hope you like it.